This episode is brought to you by iZotope. Our friends over at iZotope create the most thoughtfully and intuitively designed software for audio repair, mixing, and mastering. I use their tools every day for the podcast, and I love it. And I think you will too. Go over to iZotope.com and check it out. That's iZotope.com, iZotope. Use the code FRET10 at checkout for a 10% discount. That's all caps, F-R-E-T, and the number 10. Welcome to Discograffiti's 2025 Patreon Membership Super Drive. Now more than ever with our Beach Boys series underway, much of which will be living exclusively on our Patreon platform, this is the time to join, and I'm going to make it super easy for you. At the lieutenant or major tier, in addition to 3 or 4 shows a week, access to the gigantic archive of Patreon back episodes, and your backstage pass, you'll also get the following. An onboarding call with me during which you'll tell me all your ideas on how to make the podcast you'd like to hear. And whether I use all, some, or none of your ideas, I'll have listened closely and most importantly, gotten to know you. Plus, 3 months into your membership, you'll be eligible to appear on the Discograffiti Soldiers of Sound podcast. That's right, an entire episode all about you, your band, your band's album, your band's tour, or whatever other cool stuff you might be up to. And not only do we make the episode, we promote it for you too. Last but not least, you'll receive a completely free digital copy of Metal Machine Muzak, which otherwise costs $11. Metal Machine Muzak is Discograffiti's double album Lou Reed tribute featuring 16-minute pieces by Lou Barlow from Sebadoh and Dino Jr., Corey Hansen from Wand, Mark Robinson from Unrest, and W. Cullen Hart from Olivia Tremor Control. Please tell all your music obsessive friends. In fact, if your friends do sign up, be sure to email me at info@discograffiti.com and let me know who they are, because I'll be sending you an additional surprise gift on top of everything else as a token of my gratitude. And now, without further ado, the greatest music commentary podcast in all the land, I bring you Discograffiti.
If we go talk to a psychiatrist about this, I think they would predict that the band might split this way at some point.
You know what? Instead of starting a psychiatrist, how about you and I make Back to the Future 4, and I'll go back in history to your senior year in high school, and I'll stop Damon from dating Naomi. I think that's the way to deal with it. Welcome to Discograffiti, the music obsessives podcast that gives freaks like you and me the chance to connect with a brotherhood obsessed with rating the entire discography of every single artist and band that ever mattered. I'm your host, Dave Gebrow, and with 4 new episodes each week, you're going to gain a comprehensive knowledge of an act's history and output in the time it takes to listen to one album. Each new guest swings a hard left into an area you either had no idea you needed to know about or know all about and can't believe you're not alone out there. And in this episode, we'll be turning our spray cans on Galaxie 500, Psst, along with our special guest, Dean Wareham. If you're a Galaxie 500 superfan like me, you'll want to turn this free version off right now and opt for the director's cut of this episode on our Patreon page, which features 10 additional minutes of essential material. And you can find it in our Patreon shop for mere pennies at patreon.com/discograffiti/shop. Or better yet, just subscribe for access to the complete versions of all our shows. I recommend the Lieutenant tier at the very least so you can access those director's cuts, because they include discussions of all the releases, every last one, and the public cuts usually don't. But the major tier is what you want if you want it all. Discograffiti tells a story each week, and that story is 4 episodes long. And that's what you're getting as a major, 4 episodes a week. In fact, the Monday bonus episodes are going to be most of the best stuff moving forward. But even if you're on the fence, just head over there because it's finally free to become a basic member. Coming up, We've got an interview with Lenny Waronker, all the living members of Moby Grape rating their own catalog, Denny Tedesco on his incredible new documentary, The Immediate Family, an unprecedentedly intimate interview with Marilyn Wilson Rutherford and her cousin and Honey's bandmate Ginger Blake, plus Season 3 of the Beach Boys and Your Dreams Come True series, which will absolutely, without question, delve deeper into Pet Sounds and Smile than anyone else ever has in history. Plus, Crosby and Nash's complete discography, discussed and rated by the man himself, Graham Nash. So don't miss out. Open up your listening app right now and subscribe. And away we go then! Okay, rough trade divisiveness. Enter Terry Tolkien. I think Damon and Naomi saw this guy as like the big bad wolf. And of course, Terry himself says, and you don't even need to comment on this, but he has said, and I'm quoting, as the A&R man at Rough Trade, I saw that the other two were talented negligibly at best and holding Dean back at the worst. Which, and I know Terry was important to you. And I know he was friends with you, or maybe still is. I don't know if you guys are still friends. But, you know, he definitely was of the, you know, sort of like, let's make Susanna Hoffs the lead person here. It's like one of those kinds of deals. Yeah. Where this was really, as talented as you are, I'm sure you would be of the mind frame that this was a band.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Like, Terry has passed away. He passed away a couple of years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. And I did get close to Terry. Obviously, he later signed Luna when he was elected. I did get, and yeah. He was a close friend. He was also, I'm trying to, there's a nice way to see it. He told a lot of stories. He told a lot, it's a lot of the things that he said were just not true. And every story he told about something he'd done in the music business, he always put himself at the center of it.
Well, he says in the oral history that he broke you guys up.
Right, which is absurd, of course, anyway. It's an absurd statement, yeah. Certainly looking back then, we're getting into this is our music time now. So he didn't sign Galaxie 500, but he got hired at Rough Trade and he came down to the studio and we were friendly, but obviously it's not within his power to break up Galaxie 500 or to leave the band. And I think I think Damon and Naomi got it in their head that, I had this secret record deal lined up with Terry Tolkien and I quit. The truth of the matter is, on the day that I quit Galaxie 500, Terry Tolkien was unemployed. He had been fired by Rough Trade, or they had just downsized. Let's not call it fired. They had downsized. They knew they were going out of business. They didn't need an A&R person to sign any more bands. And also, I think they were also tired of his stories.
Right. I mean, obviously, he's kind of like, later on down the line, you're Mark Alghini, right? So another champion of yours, an important guy. But, maybe Damon and Naomi felt like this was the oral tradition of passing folk songs down from mouth to mouth, and to charge money for it and to shift units was heresy, because Damon is actually quoted as saying, the New York office of Rough Trade was a place I didn't like to visit. All the talk was about units. And to me, I wouldn't want to engage in any talk about my album unless we were talking about units.
Yeah, that's kind of what you're in there for, I guess. Or talk about radio or publicity. Yeah, for me, there are people in that Rough Trade office. Our publicist, Lisa Gottheil, is a friend of mine to this day, and she's working on my new album, so we're still friends, and I'm still friends with Robin Hurley, who is a lovely guy, one of the best people I've ever met in the music business, so he ran the office.
I guess the first Rough Trade was all women, and then the second Rough Trade in New York was all men, and it was a more hardcore business type of I don't know. This is what I'm gleaning.
I have heard Damon say that.
Yeah.
Our publicist, as I said, was Lisa Gottheil, was a woman. There were women working in that office.
Okay, so right before you recorded your third album in 1990, you finally were able to quit your day job 35 years ago, doing typing and other office work at Brigham and Women's Hospital, and then at an engineering firm across from the government center, right?
Mm-hmm. This is true, yeah.
That's awesome. And you were on MTV Sunday nights after midnight, so you had made the big time and it was time to leave your day job. So Chris Zifos did sound for Galaxie 500 a few times during 89 and 1990. He said he saw the split start to happen during the October 1990 tour and the two camps that were happening. Is that when you started to feel it happen, or was it happening before or after that for you?
So this is the tour for This Is Our Music. Yeah, I guess it was probably becoming more apparent then that we were, maybe by this point I've sort of got it in the back of my mind. Certainly, by the time this record comes out, I think I have it in the back of my mind that this will be the last record together. I don't want to do another one. Not that I articulated that.
By the way, I'm a huge fan not only of their work on Galaxie 500, but to flip my cards, I'm a big fan of Damon and Naomi's solo work, and I thought that more, starting with More Sad Hits, I, started buying everything they put out. But were they particularly sensitive beyond just being a couple? Did you feel like they were being overly sensitive to you?
I think probably they felt me drifting away, and when you feel someone in a relationship drifting away, maybe the urge is to somehow reach out and try and control them and bring them back in. So I think they became overly sensitive. Like if I did a track for Kramer for just a compilation that he did of people mostly just doing solo stuff, whatever I did, recorded a song. So the track Smile, and they got super mad at me that I did this track, and I'm just like, all right, it's not like we're in a secret society. I'm allowed to go do a song with somebody else. But I think they found that threatening, and then it's just like probably and I was not communicative either, and so it was just a dynamic that began to maybe spiral a little.
Yeah. Naomi talks about how there were a lot of outside forces, people who were happy to divide the band, pulling us apart. Unless there were people other than Terry, 3 people who went to Harvard. You guys are fucking smart as hell. And plus, not only that, but I'm guessing at least you're a student of music history. Did this start to feel like a story you'd heard so many times before? And did you see how this was going to play out?
I guess I would just say nobody on the outside is trying to pull the band apart. I just think that's kind of, I don't know, why would someone want to pull the band apart? Nobody was interested in doing that. The band fell apart from its own contradictions, not from somebody else meddling, not on the outside. The band fell apart because it was a strange three-legged band where 2 of the band are a couple, which is fine, but it's just not the most stable configuration, and maybe I'm bound to feel like the odd one out, and that's, I don't know. We could go talk to a psychiatrist about this. I think they would predict that the band might split this way at some point.
You know what? Instead of starting a psychiatrist, how about you and I make Back to the Future 4, and I'll go back in history to your senior year in high school, and I'll stop Damon from dating Naomi. I think that's the way to deal with it. All right, so September 1990, This Is Our Music. In a retrospective review for All Music, Ned Raggett called This Is Our Music arguably the band's most accomplished album.
All right.
Yeah, there you go.
Accomplished, not best.
That's true. They know how to...
most mature, most adult. But I don't know what it is. But yeah, maybe it is our most accomplished.
It perhaps is.
Yeah, but it sounds a little bit like we're running out of songs. And as you know, at some point we were in England and we delivered the record. We had a meeting in Jeff Travis's office, and he said, well, I think you guys need to go back and write some more songs.
And you said no.
And I said no. Yeah.
And did you say no because you knew you were leaving the band anyway, and you just wanted out as quickly as possible, or was it?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I just didn't want. I was just like, no. I think exactly right. I just didn't want to prolong it and go back and have to do more sessions, and yeah.
Do you regret? Look, I'm going to just skip to the end of talking about this record and just say that I give this 5 stars. I think it's an excellent record. But do you regret, are there sections of the record or things on here you wish weren't on?
Well, I don't. I guess I don't. Things that I thought wish weren't on. No. Like Melt Away and King of Spain Part 2 are not the strongest songs. The fact that it's King of Spain Part 2 maybe tells you right there that we're running out of ideas. So we're like
Was that a joke?
It was somehow I was referring back to King of Spain. I'm just talking about someone going crazy.
I love that song. I love Melt Away as well. Yeah, I think those are both great songs. I can see where, titling it King of Spain is, underscoring the idea that this is over. But aside from that, it is a very, very slow, almost funereal way to go out, isn't it?
Going out on King of Spain Part 2 with the French horns coming in. Yeah, I mean, Kramer does a beautiful arrangement at the end of that. It's very cool. So it just takes a while to get going, but it does finally get there. But there are some things on this record I love.
Kramer even tried to get you to record some of your parts at different times, right? Like a White Album situation, to get away from the feeling that...
Yeah, wasn't it? Well, with the White Album, it's like, with Spaceman 3 later, it's sort of like track the songs differently. He was more just like, hey, if Dean is just going to be playing guitar, we don't all have to be in here all the time. Anyway.
With regard to Kramer, before we get into the tracks on the record, did you wind up not working with Kramer since This Is Our Music because you didn't get along with him during this time as well, or because the memories of this time still stung for a long time afterwards and you weren't sure if it would still stink of that time? Or did you just want a fresh sound and a full reset? What was...
Yeah, I guess I just wanted a full reset. I actually did record a few Luna demos with Kramer after our first album, and we thought about working together, but I don't know, didn't happen. Or... Yeah, maybe for a little while in the '90s, it was just didn't want anything to do with each other. But we kept in touch, and then during the pandemic, he mixed one Dean and Britta song, "The Carnival Is Over," and he did it really nice. He arranged it really beautifully, and he would keep reminding me, "Hey, we really should make a record together." And he's been saying that for a while, and I'm just like, "Yeah, we will." And then it just we can come back to the sentiment. Don't let our youth go to waste. At a certain point, it occurs to you, "Hey, we need to actually do this and not just talk about it. I'm not going to talk about it, and then one day he'll be gone or I'll be gone and we won't have done this."
Yeah. I am so excited that you guys are doing this. It's a major thing. For those of us who've been fans of yours for as long as we have, for this to be occurring is a big thing. Oh, hi. I'm Dave Gebrow. I threw my career as a licensed hearing instrument specialist in the trash, sold my house, and moved to the East Coast with my wife and 5-year-old son in order to focus on making the ultimate weekly podcast for music obsessives thrive. But weekly wasn't enough for me, so I bumped it up to 4 shows a week. Becoming a subscriber to Discograffiti's Patreon gives you access to hundreds of exclusive episodes. As a 2-show per week private, you get the weekly show by and for our Patreon family, the Discograffiti Soldiers of Sound podcast. As a 3-show-a-week lieutenant, you'll get early release, ad-free, extended director's cuts of the main show. They're the shows as they were intended to be heard. Plus, you'll gain access to half the Patreon archive and the upcoming Beach Boys Behind the Mirror companion episodes, which will feature dozens of special guests from within the Beach Boys camp talking about and rating their music. But as a 4-show-per-week major, you'll be drowning in a flood of must-hear binge listening, because I'll be bombarding you with episodes about super cool bands that are too subterranean for free Fridays. It's like going to music college, but with a tuition that makes all kinds of sense. Plus, our entire Patreon archive is yours. Discograffiti's Top 10, our Buried Treasure show, Rock Cousteau, our Slag Off show, Queasy Listening, and the Private Press with Paul Major. And all that for the price of only a cup of coffee a week. Times are tough, you say? Fret not, because there's a $1 tier. Or you could just join as a basic member and buy episodes piecemeal from our Patreon shop. Don't risk feeling badly about yourself by not giving. Check out patreon.com/discograffiti to find the tier that's right for you. Once again, that's patreon.com/discograffiti. So back to 1990, 4th of July. Damon says it starts off the album because it seemed hard to put it anywhere else. There's a different quality to that arrangement and mix, I think. It turned into a single through the process of recording more than in the writing. It just got bigger as we worked on it in the studio. And yeah, this is like an epic soundscape. I mean, there's spoken word, singing, intense chugel sections, terrific guitar work, some of Damon's most excitable drum work ever, and a really great melody. This is a fantastic song.
Yeah. this one really works. And again, I think Damon brought the chords in for this. I wrote the melody and the lyrics. The overdubs were really fun. I will remember, like, it starts with Kramer's like, play something really high up on the guitar. So that's that riff they go, which at the time, I don't know how she feels about it now, but Naomi hated it. She's like, can you please replace that with something else? Just do something else. And it's just like, which is funny because that's really like the hook for the.
It is.
That's hook for the song, but it is in a different register. I don't usually play that high up on the neck.
No, but it's one of the things that characterizes the song. I think she's definitely objectively wrong about that.
Well, she says something that it's different, maybe. Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's probably that's the fastest we ever played, I'm sure.
Yeah,
and it's especially towards the end, and it's got a snare drum overdub, second snare that comes in there too, and yeah,
it's a great song. Hearing Voices. This is the dreamiest song on the entire record, on a record that is very dreamy to begin with. I love the sparse acoustic work, great vocal, terrific self-harmonizing. And again, this is one that I would play, my show was in the middle of the night, but I played it regularly, all the time.
Yeah, I tend to play this one at funerals, if I'm asked to perform a song at someone's funeral, because it's about someone. You're hearing voices and you're looking for someone and they're not there anymore, and you look in the freezer and they're not there, so
wow.
Think of that.
Have you really played this at funerals?
Yeah, just once. I just did it once, yeah. Yes, wow. I did play that at someone's funeral, yeah.
Wow. Can I ask whose?
It was, my publicist out here, someone who worked with Luna briefly. He worked for us, and he worked with David Lynch. He passed, he had a brain tumor, way too young. It was awful.
Yeah. This is a really amazing song. It's got everything I like in a song. I mean, every aspect of it. It's always been my favorite song on this record. Spook, and the secret title was Spock, right? Because this is about a Star Trek episode.
Yeah. Why didn't I just call it Spock? I don't.
Well, because it does have a spooky kind of feel to it.
Yes, I guess so. This one, it did not work live. We tried to play this live, but at least he really needed like someone playing the string part that Kramer. That's what makes the song, I think.
Is that synth? That's synth.
Yeah, it's
right?
just synthesized strings, but they sound pretty great. This is a very primitive sampler. That's just like got a floppy disk that you put in the keyboard and it dials in a string sound. So it's somewhere between a mellotron and what we would have now. Yeah, it's about that Star Trek episode where Spock has blinded because he's gone out to save them all. He comes like he's blinded, and then Bones is like crying, "Oh, I can't believe what I've done!" And then he's like, "It's okay. I'm a Vulcan. I've got a second eyelid."
That's awesome. Great idea for a song that certainly doesn't feel as detached as the lyrical content. And then Summertime, tremendously trippy. The guitars are awash in a reverb bath that's so thick and congealed. I'm guessing that at that point, it's kind of difficult to play in time when you're bouncing all over the place like that.
This one, I had bought a delay pedal. I think it's the first time I branched out. I got a delay pedal, and I was, with Summertime, maybe I was trying to do something like Spaceman 3 were doing at this point with like a delayed guitar. And so that does even make it a little trickier to play in time to a hard delay when you're playing it that way. But I enjoy this one.
It's a great song. Okay, Way Up High. This is one of my favorites on the record. The limp-wristed fayness of the folk style of it makes it jump out from your catalog a little bit. It feels like a counterpoint to what had to have been going on around you at the time.
Yeah, I'm fine. Now I listen back, I'm fine with that flute arrangement. It wasn't where we anticipated the song going at all. It wasn't where we thought it was going to go, so I don't know what we would have done with it if he hadn't done that, but we never found out.
And also, just reading about, Naomi's description of what Noise New York was like at that time, apparently it was falling apart at that time, right? The fire department had come in and told Kramer that the wall to the mixing booth was a fire hazard and he had to tear it down, so it was just rubble.
I don't think she might have been there after I was there, but that doesn't surprise me. I'm sure it was illegal. It was blocking the emergency exit.
Okay, so Listen, the Snow is Falling, which due to Open Road's exclusion from your discography by dint of its length is the longest song in your oeuvre. So the elongated epic centerpiece of your catalog, what do you think about this Yoko Ono cover? I love this.
Oh, I love it too, yeah. I think this is maybe this is the highlight of the record for me. And so live, it was really great. Live was really fun. And it was a song that, even though there's a lot going on, it was like we just got really good at playing it as a trio. And again, it's just the same chords over and over again, but it just goes through all these different sections with what I'm doing on the ebow and what Damon's doing on the drums. And well done, I think. And I didn't know the song. This was Naomi's idea.
Okay, I was just going to ask you. Yeah, that's great. That's really very selfless of you to admit that. No, really, that this is your favorite song on the record?
Yeah, this and 4th of July, I get the two of them. Yeah, but yeah.
Nice. Yeah, it's a great song. Okay, sorry. I'm just going to quote Damon. Dean's attitude was horrendous at this point. I can't be bothered was his I can't be bothered was his catchphrase. He applied it to everything from lunch to overdubs. I even had to finish one of his lyrics for him. He'd run out of them and seemed to have stopped trying. All he had left was this line, "I'm sorry about your goldfish." And here we had this lovely tune already down on tape, "Sorry, going to waste." I thought, well, I know what I'm sorry about, so I wrote it on that theme and gave it to him. This is the epitaph for the band, and what a song. I mean, when he gave the lyrics to you, I mean, you went to Harvard. You obviously knew what he was writing about, right?
Well, he told me.
Okay.
he's like, the song's about the band. The song's about the band. And he's right. It's, I don't know if I guess maybe I was that much of a prick then that I was just saying, I can't be bothered. That's why I couldn't be bothered going back and writing more songs anyway. To be fair, we didn't have a lot of time to make these. It's like, you're touring all the time and then all of a sudden it's like, let's make another record. It's like, all right, maybe it takes a little time, but it's a lovely song and it's a good sad line. Everything is business and we're sorry all the time, and that is exactly what happened to the band.
Yeah. And then Melt Away and King of Spain Part 2. I guess you don't think too highly of these, but
just lyrically, I don't know. I think
Melt Away has it builds into one of the most raging guitar solos of your entire career.
It does have a good solo, and at the end, you can hear me fiddling with the delay pedal, making it go like.
I do love these last two, and so here's my capsule review. The songs on this record definitely seemed affected by the fraying relationships at the center of the experience of making the thing. The atmosphere is just soaked to the bone with reverb. I remember listening to this at the time and feeling like just the experience of hearing this made me feel lost in the cosmos. The elongated running times of your material, which was new for you then, and a welcome shift actually, added to the overall effect, which was a band fanning its plumage and stretching out a little bit. This album is the most different one to the other two that exists in your brief catalog. And it's also got a uniquely funereal, dirgy, identifiably unhappy feel to it. I really don't know how you did it, but you weathered multiple storms of newfound success and lifestyle shift, not to mention the wreckage of toppled friendships, and somehow none of your music wound up suffering in the process. 5 stars.
You're giving it 5, huh?
Yeah.
Well, that means they've all got 5, but that's very nice of you.
They all get 5, and it's the only band I've ever covered. We've had hundreds of episodes, and that's never been the case.
I'll give it a 4.1.
Okay, fair. Okay, here's Terry Tolkien. By the time This Is Our Music came along, they hated each other. I walked into some ugly scenes at Noise New York during those sessions, so I avoided them. It's my least favorite Galaxie 500 record. I never listened to it. I like the other two. Okay, so you're driving now from Boston to New York, moving back and forth, right?
All the time, yeah.
Yeah,
once a month.
Which sounds like it was not impossible, but a little bit of a pain in the ass. And Phil McMullen was a writer who interviewed you guys during the 9th date of what turned out to be your final European tour in November 1990. And he asked you, how would you describe your music? And you replied, it's bollocks.
That's not saying I was being a dick.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like it was a harried time. It does. And I mean, honestly, at that time, I don't think there was anyone around who was making independent music, which hadn't yet sort of cashed out to where it wasn't a brutal struggle, even on a high level, to where it made it easy enough to do it that it wasn't getting in the way, that the process just was not easy. That even if you were successful, like you guys, like the Pixies, like Husker Du, still sounded like it was brutal at the time.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's success and then there's radio success. And so again, like I'm reading this book about the VU that I have to write an introduction for, and just the notion that they had no success. We're like, no, we had success. We had followers. People liked us. We went out on tour. We played shows, but we didn't get radio play. So we didn't. Not the kind of success that is shifting, hundreds of thousands of records, which is how success is defined by record companies anyway.
Right. All right. So your last performance was April 5th, 1991, at Bowdoin College for the campus radio station WBOR, and that was right after the end of your tour opening for the Cocteau Twins. It was a Monday morning, April 8th, 1991. Damon and Naomi were packing for a Japanese tour. Naomi screamed at you and hung up on you.
They were not packing. They were. Damon was about to buy the plane tickets. He wanted to buy the plane tickets. Okay. So I guess, I knew at that point that I was going to quit. We were on this Cocteau Twins tour. This is in April now. If I back up to January, I'd gone away on vacation. And I told them like I wanted to leave the band, and we kind of talked it out, and I stayed in the band. So flash forward a few months, we do the Cocteau Twins tour, and on the Cocteau Twins tour, I'm just like, no, I realized I wanted to leave the band. Look, sometimes when you break up with someone, then you have this overwhelming urge the next day this voices in your head saying, no, you're crazy. What are you doing? You should make it work out. And I think that's what had sort of happened in January. I'd been like, oh, this is crazy. We'll work it out. But without really solving any of the problems underlying it. So, after that gig at Bowdoin, I knew it was the last show. And it's funny, I think there's a story, I saw this somewhere online, some kid who was in the opening band, and he's like, oh yeah, it was so tense in that room. They were like sitting there fuming, like we were fuming. We were fuming because your band played for much longer than you should have, and it was like late on a Sunday night, and we wanted to get on stage. But, he called me, I guess, Monday to say, I need to book these plane tickets. And I didn't realize the show had actually, I think, already been put on sale. I didn't even know that. And I was just like, you know what, I'm not going.
And you've never been in the same room since, right?
We have not been in the same room since, no. There's a reason for us to be in the same room, I guess. But we
I know.
We get along fine. We get along fine now.
Yeah. So Damon said, how did I feel when Dean quit? Are you kidding? Listen to more sad hits. And then your quote was, I felt free. and then Terry's quote was, I wasn't surprised at all when they broke up because I did it.
Yeah, I know. And again, Terry, I don't want to say he's a pathological liar, but but I will tell you this: during the pandemic, going through some old papers, I came across a postcard that I'd written to Justin in New Zealand saying, I've recorded some demos. I'm sending them around to a few different labels. I'm not sure what's going to go on. Rough Trade is interested. And I don't even think it mentions Terry. So there were, I had a few. So it wasn't like I had got this deal in my back pocket. But it was certainly true that Terry had said to me, hey, as long as I'm in this business, as long as I've got a job, I'll sign you somewhere. I was like, all right. But again, on the day that I left Galaxie 500, he didn't have a job. He was out. He was interviewing for jobs.
Yeah.
So it just, like I said, he likes to. He played a role in it maybe, and he was encouraging. He was encouraging. That was nice of him.
He played like the Jimmy Kimmel character in Almost Famous.
Yes, exactly.
This episode is brought to you in part by Bespoke LA. Located in the Fairfax district of Los Angeles, Bespoke LA is the modern podcaster's dream come true. It's got 2 podcast pods available, one with audio only and the other with both audio and video. Just think, you can start your own podcast tomorrow without investing a single penny in equipment. What, you don't have experience editing? Don't even sweat it. For an additional fee, Bespoke LA can edit your podcast. Or not, it's entirely up to you. Rates start at $75 an hour with discounts if you book 4 sessions at once. Go to bespokela.com/podcast. That's BSPOKELA.com/podcast for more information or to book your time today. And be sure to tell them that Dave sent you for a one-time 25% discount. Naomi says, we had certainly had our share of band frictions, but we also had such a long friendship. I think I always assumed that we could always work anything out. I was so shocked and disappointed that Dean didn't even want to try. I hadn't realized how much of my identity was wrapped up in the band, in being in Galaxie 500. I felt completely stripped of my musical identity, an identity, by the way, that was formed because of Galaxie 500. It took a long time to recover. So Rough Trade never accounted to Galaxie 500 for any royalties. And Damon had to pull some tricky stuff, right, in order to buy the masters back. It sounds, based on how he did that, by building up a claim and then waiving it as part of the offer that was made on the masters, that gesture wound up helping you guys immensely in terms of how you were able to control your catalog moving forward.
Yeah, it was what might have been considered devastating news that the label was going bankrupt. Actually, it was the best thing that ever happened to us because Damon went to the hearing, and there's a thing when if you're owed a whole lot of back royalties, there's certainly, I think there were external labels who would have bought the stuff, but he was suggested, oh, by the way, we're owed a whole lot of back royalties. You buy this asset, you're buying those owed royalties as well, I think is what he said.
Yeah.
Whether or not you can enforce that, I don't know.
So I'm not going to ask you what the likelihood of reunion is, but I did hear you say that you thought a reunion of Speedy and the Castanets is more likely. So when is that band getting back together? All right. So in '92, you signed a demo deal with Terry Tolkien, who was at Elektra then.
I did demos. Actually, it was a split demo deal. It was between Columbia Records and Elektra. I think they both paid for it together because they were both interested.
A whole other beautiful chapter of your life opens up. I mean, Luna is an amazing thing. You know, it's not a gigantic about face or anything, but, still clearly you. But a different kind of thing. And, I think giving the reverb the heave-ho, for the most part, was a smart idea. Creating a new sonic identity. And, I followed your work all the way through. You're looking like you want to say stuff, so I'm going to shut up.
No. I'm just thinking about, I was trying to think whose idea to get rid of the well, it's just different producers, I guess. You usually the mix skip, but the first Luna record is very dry and compressed. It sounds it still sounds like me. I'm still playing guitar on it.
And then More Sad Hits by Damon and Iommi. That sounds like that would be the record after This Is Our Music,
right?
And I loved it at the time. I listened to that all the time, and I listened to Luna's early work all the time. All of you guys wound up doing really well. And, they also had Magic Hour, and they began the Avant-Garde Press Exact Change. Then you made friends with your back catalog, and I guess, were able to overlook the hurt and the wounds in the past. And Dean Wareham Plays Galaxie 500 came to be, which thankfully I got to see that, and that was a great thing for me to be able to heckle you.
It was good for me too.
And then, your legacy. So how do you feel about your legacy? You're an incredibly influential band.
Yeah, it seems like we're bigger now than ever before. And there's always some sad teenagers coming along who will take solace in this music. But it's pretty cool that 35 years later, people are still listening to those records. Like, so if I go back to put myself in like 1981, were kids listening to like jazz records from the 40s? Not so much, I don't think. So it's had a long life. It's cool. And, there's something to be said for being in a band that just makes a few records and then breaks up. Just makes a statement and then is gone.
Yeah.
Before you have time to start making bad music together.
Agreed. You didn't have a single bum note. It must feel good in Liz Phair's Stratford-on-Guy to have those references when I was pretending that I was in a Galaxie 500 video, or in the Juju song Dr. Troll. Do you know that line?
No.
Listen to On Fire and pretend someone could love you.
Yeah, I guess I have been told that. Yeah, that's right.
And there's all kinds of covers. Tugboat's been covered by a ton of people.
Oh yeah, I know. I want it to be covered by Beyonce though. Put on a record.
The British Sea Power version of it is incredible. It's really well done. And then in 2010, Cloudland Canyon and Cité appeared on a 7-inch EP together, where they both covered Galaxie 500. And Tugboat was featured in the great movie Perks of Being a Wallflower.
I have still not seen that movie.
It's really good.
Is it?
really
Okay.
good. Yeah.
All right. Note to self, watch Perks of Being a Wallflower.
It's really good. I recommend it highly. David Green from the really beautifully titled Galaxie 500 Luna, Damon and Naomi Full of Wishes Facebook group asks, I was amused to read an anecdote from Mark Lanigan's memoir about going to a Galaxie 500 show in their heyday and how it affected him. That struck me as interesting given how different his sound palette was. What is it like discovering Galaxie 500's influences on such a wide array of artists, and are there any that surprise you?
Well, it's always nice hearing it from another musician. It was nice reading it. I mean, Lanigan had told me that before, because I toured with him with Luna. He's like, oh man, we're going to see Galaxie 500, changed my life. But the way he said it changed his life is it made him realize that he could make like quiet music in a club and like still be in a band, but at that point he was getting tired of just being in a super loud band, being the singer on little small stages, having his ears blown out night after night. But yeah, he said, I guess he had rushed over to see us at the Kennel Club after one of his own shows, a Screaming Trees show, and he decided to go in a different direction. So maybe I'm responsible for breaking up the Screaming Trees. I did it.
What is it like, though, knowing that your music has touched such a wide array of people?
It's always nice to think that someone's listening to your music somewhere. Someone's like having a moment, sitting up late, watching the sun come up or whatever, and finding that the song helps them. So, and it's, yeah, like I said, it's cool and unexpected that probably more people are listening to it than ever.
Yeah. Yeah,
and I know David Green. I think if it's the same David Green was a DJ at WMBR. So,
okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. So there's the live release Copenhagen, which is from a show December 1st, 1990, that Kramer was at. He was traveling with you and handling the sound engineering. And my favorite moment on the entire record, actually, is when you have a dialogue going with Kramer from the stage, the time to change the tapes outside, taping dialogue. It's really cool. It's great that exists. Do you like that record?
Yes, I do. It's nice it was the end of the tour, and we were been playing the songs. We were playing really well, so
yeah.
And so it's nice to get a multi-track capture once in a while, and so we were fortunate.
And then the Peel Sessions release, which compiles 2 sessions, one from September '89, one from October '90, and all of it's great. Your favorite is your cover of the Sex Pistols Submission, and you've said that people think it's an unlikely cover, but again, it's not. Because if people knew your work from Speedy and the Castanets,
exactly,
they'd know.
It was years in the making. For years we've been wanting to do that. But again, if I listen to that, I'm like, wow, actually, David and Naomi are playing great on it too. I don't know. We were all like playing really well, but like we'd gotten better as musicians, and it kind of surprised me how good that one sounds.
Accomplished.
Yeah, accomplished, exactly.
Yeah. Naomi says, the band was like a movie star or a musician who died young. Part of the mystique was that we never had a chance to grow old or for people to get bored of us. Dean, what were your expectations going in to 6/8 Studios? And were those expectations met or not? Looking back, if you do look back, is it with fondness?
Low expectations, certainly, we just wanted to put out a single, or maybe play at Green Street Station in Jamaica, play a gig. I don't know. Yeah, we didn't anticipate it blowing up in the way that it. Not that we became rich or truly famous or anything, but yeah. And I look back fondly, most certainly. I guess the negative stuff tends to fall away.
Yeah, it's none of my business at all. It couldn't be any less my business. But I do hope at some point the three of you can be in the same room again and have a laugh. I do.
That room will be the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah. No. There's no reason why it shouldn't be, honestly.
Well, I was making a joke, but you're taking me seriously.
No, but I mean, look at the Oscars. The Oscars last night were all for independent films.
That's true.
There wasn't a single Hollywood movie that was celebrated last night.
Yeah.
So maybe at some point the Grammys will come around, or the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and recognize what should be recognized, because you guys are deserving of it. And I know that you wouldn't treat them like David Byrne treats the Talking Heads.
No.
So Uncollected New York Noise, 1988 to 1990. That release, is it the end of the road? Do you get a full sense of closure for your band with that release? or will there never really be closure for you? Is that it?
That's closure. I mean, there's, the only other stuff out there is live recordings. We have gone to the bottom of the barrel, and there was some good stuff down there.
There really is. All right, so the arc of the band, because I have, not that there's a massive arc, you have 3 records, but here's my tiny piece. Truncated, lightning-quick career notwithstanding, I could probably count the number of bands whose total albums I consider all 5-star killers on one hand, maybe 2. It always sucks when friendships go under as an artistic sacrifice, but when it's for great art, it smarts a bit less. The cloud into which I recede when ensconced in your music is the auditory equivalent of comfort food to me, no matter the record. The 3 of you released one of the all-time great debuts and then followed it up with 2 more that I'd be hard-pressed to separate out qualitatively, as all of it exists on the same plane, and the stylistic format that Galaxie 500 called for made it easy enough for all of you to pitch in material that worked no matter what kind of madness was going on behind the scenes. There is no arc then, per se. The graph here is a straight line from perfect to perfect to perfect. I'd like to thank you for a career filled with music to which I continually return over and over again. Honestly, in whatever guise you've chosen over the years, all of it works for me. I have everything you've ever released, and I love it all. Top 3 albums, 1, 2, 3.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Dave.
No problem, man. I thank you. And I have one request.
Yeah?
Will you please say, don't let your youth go to waste, lads and ladies?
Don't let your youth go to waste, lads and ladies.
Awesome. So talk to me, plug, please. I mean, I legitimately want to hear about this record. Give me the summation of your feelings toward it, your plans with it. Talk to me.
Well, I'm going to send you the record. It doesn't sound like Galaxie 500 really. I mean, maybe a couple songs do a little, but it was a trip being back in the studio with Kramer, looking through the window and seeing him there. We worked pretty much the same way, just quickly, just like 1 or 2 takes on the guitar. That's it. And I'd be like, well, I hit a bad note there. It doesn't matter. And he really plays all over this record, too. There's a lot of his keyboards and the cello, a lot of cello. Anyway, I don't know. I'll send it to you. Britta says it's my best solo record. It's her favorite. Not that we need to rank everything, but that's kind of what you do.
Well, honestly, I do it, but kind of almost as a joke, because really, all the stuff underneath everything else is what is of main interest to me, and I think you can see that. Yeah.
No, it's true.
It is.
It's true. It's just a way. It's a way to organize your thoughts.
Yeah. This is an amazing story. It's a story of like a really long buildup of 3 people who were on the same page about everything. And what they didn't know at the time is that it really was so that they could create this telepathic series of artworks that would last in perpetuity, really. And sometimes we don't know why things happen, and if that's the reason why the friendships, occurred through that first decade, that's okay. It is okay.
That's true.
Dean, I can't thank you enough, man. From the bottom of my heart, I've been dreaming of doing this for a few years now. I'm so glad it happened.
Yeah, thanks for doing it, Dave. Thanks for being persistent with me. And I'm going to send you the new, what do you want, streaming, download, both? Whatever, I'll send you that.
Whatever you got. Okay. I'd be just psyched to hear it. This has been as perfect an episode as your discography. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. It was fun. And you were right. It's fun to do this at length anyway. If someone's researched and thought deeply about the material, then the interview goes better. I always think, because people always say, Lou Reed is a terrible interviewer. And I was like, look, man, I've seen him be mean to people. Someone asks him the right questions. I've seen him really engage with people too. So
Yeah. All right, that about does it. Stay tuned, because next week brings upon us a brand new 5-week series unlike anything Discograffiti's ever done. It's a Rashomon-style spectacular called Grape Expectations, and it's an overview of the band Moby Grape. If you know, then you know, but if you don't, I can assure you that there is no crazier story in the history of music. Aside from some of the greatest music ever made, it includes disastrous tours, lawsuits, police busts, a fake version of the grape, drug-induced madness, insane asylums, and attempted murder with a fire axe. There will be separate interviews with all three living members of the band, Peter Lewis, Don Stevenson, and Bob Mosley, plus an epic interview with band biographer Cam Cobb on the great Skip Spence, not to mention a few surprise guests. Okay, here's the week up ahead. This Sunday, our weekly show within a show, the Discograffiti Soldiers of Sound podcast, drops for our Patreon's private tier. These are real people with talent and a burning fire deep inside, just like you and I. Then come Monday, the major tier gets a very special treat, and man, do I mean special. Monday's bonus episode is part 3 of the Big Lurch prison interview, a series you won't soon forget, to put it mildly. Never heard of him? Go ahead, Google him. Big Lurch is an incarcerated rapper who got into a bit of a scrape with the law after descending into a PCP-induced blackout and emerged having realized that he may just have cannibalized someone. This is definitely the craziest series I've ever run, so don't miss it. Because of the sensitive nature of the material in this series, it will only be accessible on the major tier of our Patreon, with no sneak peeks available for the next 3 weeks. But it'll be right there waiting for you, kind of like Richard Marx, but not. And then on Wednesday, the Lieutenant tier gets their early release, ad-free, super extended director's cut of Part 1 of Skip Spence biographer Cam Cobb's Skip Spence podcast. It's the episode as it was truly intended to be heard, with all the essentials left intact. And then come Friday, everyone else gets to join in on the action. A heartfelt Discograffiti thanks goes out to my beautiful wife and son, Jen and Mason, Dean Wareham, Rudy Fishman, Becky Boyd, Jay Schultz, Bespoke LA, my mom, my dad, my incredibly loyal fans, and especially the entire Patreon community, the Soldiers of Sound. I love every last one of you, and this show would not exist without you, my friends. Speaking of friends, it's high time for some new ones. They're in our Facebook group, Discograffiti Soldiers of Sound. That's the best way to find out what's coming up on the show, but there's a hell of a lot more. You get recaps of the day in music history, the ability to pitch questions to guests, polls that put you in the driver's seat on guest and band decisions, access to a thriving creative hub if you're looking for a collaborator, and much, much more. So make sure you don't miss out. You can find the link to the Discograffiti Soldiers of Sound Facebook page right there in the show notes. And if you don't mess with the Zuck, no sweat. Just email me at info@discograffiti.com and I'll keep you in the loop. So now that it's done and you want more, another way to dive even deeper into sparkling indie rock majesty is to leap head first into the Sonic Boom Rates Spacemen 3 series. That's episodes 183 to 186. Tom Morello rates the MC5, that's 177. Robert Schneider rates the Strawberry Alarm Clock, that's 175 and 176. No Ages Randy Randall rates Jesus Lizard, that's 172. Cindy Lee's Diamond Jubilee, that's 168. Chris Cohen rates himself, that's 166 and 167. Michael Imperioli rates the Smiths, that's 164 and 165. The Mark Robinson series, an incredible 16-hour interview, that's 128 to 136. Will Cullen Hart rates the Olivia Tremor Control, that's 131 to 133. Mike Watt rates the Minutemen, that's 124 to 126. The David Pajo series on Slint, that's 94 to 101. Bob Nastanovich rates Pavement, that's 49 to 58. Jonathan Rado rates Todd Rundgren, that's 37 and 40. Anthony Fantano rates The Velvet Underground, that's 32 and 33. Nirvana is episode 30. Bob Mayer rates The Replacements as 28 and 29. Pixies is 18. Jen Pelly on the Raincoats is 15. PJ Harvey is 12. And Cocteau Twins is 3. And of course, be sure to mark your calendars, because next Friday, May 23rd, we're coming at you with part 1 of Moby Grape biographer Cam Cobb on the great Skip Spence. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss it. And so, from now till then, don't let our youth go to waste, lads and ladies. It's Discograffiti!